All right, I think we're on. Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Patrick James here, and I'm really excited today because I'm bringing you a guest. His name is Tripp from trippadvice.com. How are you doing today, Tripp?
I'm doing freaking awesome, man. Thanks for having me. This is going to be some fun. I'm glad we're doing it.
Yeah, I'm really happy too. So yeah, I mean, Tripp just got done doing his own little seminar, and then we were just talking about how I just got back from Miami, where I was helping a buddy of ours out, and I actually had my first boot camp out there. So I'm excited to bring you guys some value today. We're actually going to address a lot of questions. We're going to try to combine it all into like 20 to 30 minutes. Get a lot of questions about how to approach girls, how to, get their numbers, how to flirt with them, how do you banter with them. So we're just going to start from the top and then go from there. All right.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. So sounds good. So basically, I get a lot of questions like, how do I approach a girl in a nightclub, or how do I approach a girl even during the day? And this is one of the issues that I noticed a lot with my guys when I did a little charisma immersion weekend last week in Miami. Guys, like, they were frozen in fear. They were just standing there and like just seeking the room, like looking for someone to approach, and then they'd chicken themselves out, they'd freeze up. So what is your advice, Tripp? Like, what do you tell guys to do in a moment like that?
In a moment, in terms of just
like
approaching in any situation,
right?
In any situation. Well, I mean, there's the famous 3-second rule coined by Mystery, and I have yet to find better advice than that. That's the way to go, right? So what you got to do is you got to train yourself to be approaching as fast as possible. So why should you do that? Well, because if you don't, then you're going to be stuck in your head, and you're going to give yourself a million reasons why you shouldn't. Things that are completely irrational, right? You'll be saying to yourself like, oh, she looks like she's mean. And it's like, how would you know that? Because of what she looks like? Like, someone looks mean, like there's a mean look. I mean, yeah, someone could maybe have like a scrunched face, but that does not equate to that person being mean, right? So you'll come up with all these ideas not to approach. It's like two people. It's like you and your mind is like, no, man, don't do that. Because of this reason. She could be mean. Oh, she's got a boyfriend. Oh, she's never going to like you. You're not good enough because she's way hotter than you are, and she's out of your league, right? So it's going to be spitting all this stuff. So the only way to beat your mind is to literally run up and go approach as fast as possible.
Right.
Because once you're doing that, none of that's me going through your head. So everything is about going there as fast as possible. Now, the way to do that and the steps to do that are to go out and practice doing that with every girl that you come across. Go out and just approach. The second you see a girl that you want to talk to, 1, 2, 3, bam. So it's more like the 1 second rule, because 3 seconds is like 1, 2, 3. No. 1, 2, 3, go. Right away. That's going to train your mind to do it fast. So anytime you ever want to approach a girl, you're just going to do it, and you're not going to think. And then you figure it out afterwards, right? If she's mean, well, then you found out, and then you can deal with it in that moment. Otherwise, don't make any excuses in your head as to what might happen. Go find out. I always say be curious. You know what? Even if you do get to the point where you're past 3 seconds and it's said to you in your head like, oh, she's mean or she's a boyfriend, you know what? Say to that little fucker inside of your head, say, you know what? Let's go find out. Let's go find out if that's true.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, you're going to find that it's not. Whatever you're thinking about the situation, it's not, right? I mean, even like the opposite. You might see a girl who's smiling and having a good time, and you're like, oh, what an easy approach. And you go over there, and then she's actually really rude. Yeah. Right? She's like, oh, get away from me. And you're like, I thought she was going to be nice, right? Point is, doesn't matter mean or nice or hot or not. The point is go over there and find out and figure it out once you're up there.
Yeah, it's almost like, the super charismatic guy, the guy who owns the room. He's not choosing like her. He's talking to everybody, and there's like zero time between the idea and the act. And a lot of guys, like, I love that you just said that, because a lot of guys ask me, like, they're like, dude, do you ever get anxiety before you approach a girl? I'm like, I mean, I could, but I don't even give myself the time to get the anxiety, right? You just, like you said, is decrease the time between the idea and the act, because if you extend that beyond like 3 seconds, you're going to have like, boom, she's with her boyfriend. Boom, she looks like she's busy. Boom, this and that.
Right.
Um,
And I like what you said there too. It's also about framing the idea, right? So you can frame it as if as I'm going to this club tonight to approach girls and get girls. That's one way to frame the night. Or you can frame the night as I'm just going to go and have a good time and make friends and talk to everybody. So you're no longer approaching girls like you said, right? You're just socializing, having fun. There is no approach because all you're doing is technically approaching, aka socializing. So yeah, I mean, it's all about how you want to frame frame the night and all the interactions that you have.
Yeah, dude, and that brings up another point is like you got to have fun. So, for example, last weekend I had a few guys pay me to take them out, and we went out to a club. It's called Story, and it was in Miami. And like one guy, he was like so frozen in fear. He was like, it was almost like he wasn't used to being in a club. So I was like, dude, like have fun, talk to people. You look miserable, and so I was like, go talk to that girl. And he went up to her, and I didn't even have to see like what was going on. I just like could see the look on her face, and she was like, "Oh," and like ran away. And that reminded me, like he must have not looked like he was having fun. Have you ever heard of the book The Like Switch?
The like switch?
Yeah,
No, but it sounds like a version of how to win friends and influence people.
I think it's a new age version of that. I actually just downloaded the audiobook. It's actually an ex FBI agent, and he used to train people how to get spies that came to America to turn on their country. It was like James Bond shit. And the way he would do that was get people to instantly like him, or like over time get them to like him. And one of the things he talked about in that book was that there's something called the urban scowl, which is really interesting to me. And this, I guarantee, the guy who like had the girl like disgusted immediately had the urban scowl. And it's almost like you look unwelcoming. You look like an enemy. It's like a nonverbal thing. It's almost like this. I'm going to try to do it. Like,
You're saying that's what she had or that's what he had?
that's what he had. So he didn't look like he was having fun. That way, when he goes up, all she has to go off of immediately is his nonverbal communication. And so she looks at his face. He looks like he's miserable in the club, but he's forcing himself to approach. And she's like, "Oh, who is this disgusting guy?" Right? And so that just goes to show, like, you got to actually be having fun when you're out there approaching people. Going back to what you said.
Exactly, because especially when you're out, especially like this should go across the board, but especially when you're out at night at a club or a bar, why are people out? They're out there to have fun because they're bored of their jobs and they want something new and fresh and they want to drink and they want to let loose. You know, that's pretty much all the reasons why people go out to hang out with friends. It's all about having fun. So if you're not continuously adding to that fun, being that fun dude, then why would anyone want to talk to you? Why would you want to talk to anyone? Could you imagine? I mean, I like to kind of reverse it and always tell guys, like, imagine someone coming up to you and being like, you know, urban scowl or whatever it's called, like this, or like, you'd be like, who, get away from me. Like, who is this creep? Like, not adding to this fun time. So yes, it's all about enjoying it. And also really, again, that's what you should be focusing on. It shouldn't be focusing on that outcome. It should be focused on solely, you know, how are you going to have fun in that moment, in the interaction? That is what's going to bring the most success. I tell you, most guys just, they're so determined of like, I need to get her to like me. I need to get her to like me. I need to get her phone number, and we need to have sex, and I haven't had sex. I'm a virgin, and blah, 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 blah. Gotta be focused on the present moment and just enjoying it. And then the things you want will follow. So guys are just kind of focused on the wrong thing. It's not their fault. They don't know, but if they're watching now, they do.
Yeah, dude. And that brings up another point. I actually made a video about this recently. Is like, it's about value, right? So as Brad Pitt is never wondering, like you said, he's never wondering like, I got to get her number. I got to get her to like me. I got to weasel my dick inside of her. He's always thinking like, if she gets my number, she's lucky. Like it's a completely different paradigm, but it's all up here. So I was like telling guys, I was like, listen, you got to understand that you are valuable. There's a value exchange, because if you feel like you're right here and you got to get her number, what if you do get her number? Think about what she got out of that situation. Did she get anything? Was there an exchange of value there? Or was it like you won and she lost? So that kind of goes back to what you were saying.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it's about too, is like you got to go into the interaction thinking not what you can get, but what you can give. A lot of guys are thinking about the get mentality. It's got to be giving. So going back to what you were saying before, what will you be giving? You'll be adding value. What is value? It's fun. That's what it is. It's fun. It's joking around. It's interesting conversation. It's connection between another interesting person. That's where all the value lies. That's what giving value is.
Yeah.
So that's what needs to be focused on.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. And I actually, I had another guy ask me the other day. He's like, I always hear the term offer value. And he's like, what does that mean? I was like, well, sometimes people, it's like fun, like what you said, or like friendship, like genuine friendship. He goes, dude, how can you give value if you're just offering friendship? I was like, dude, do you think if Brad Pitt wanted to be friends with you, like, you think that'd be pretty cool? He goes, yeah, dude, that'd be awesome. Yeah, he's giving you value through friendship. So like, what are other ways?
These days, I mean, think about it. Like value is like, what would be value in a friendship? Well, you guys, you like the same things. And when you are connecting with someone who likes the same thing as you, let's just say for this example, it's you like talking about dating and pickup, right? It's like you guys have a fun time. You get a good rapport because you like the same thing. You're bouncing ideas off each other. You're teaching them something. They're teaching you something. There's value in that, right? So that's what that would be, right? So why is Brad Pitt of value? Well, for him specifically, it's someone famous. Okay, so why is that cool? Well, he's famous. You can brag to all your friends because he's so famous, right? He's got access to more famous people, more interesting people. He can probably teach you a thing or two because he's a really big actor and has been around for a long time and doing really crazy stuff. He's got access to beautiful women. So like that is a value in that friendship. Not that, again, you got to be careful. I don't think friendship is about what can this person offer me, but it kind of is that way in the sense of they're going to offer you good times, good conversation. They might offer you access to other things, right? So if you know someone of value who has a lot of friends in a big social circle, that is someone of value. You'd want to be friends with them. Hopefully they're a cool person. If they're a dick, then I don't know why you want to be friends with them, but hopefully they offer, cool personality, fun, nice person, access to other people, other resources, can connect you to other people. Maybe there's some business stuff. Now, again, we're just talking about friendship, but hopefully this gets whoever's watching the wheels spinning about what value is. Okay. So for a woman, again, I'll kind of repeat myself, but a woman sees a guy with value if he is what? If he's confident, if he's comfortable in his own skin, if he makes her laugh, if he leads an interesting life, he does interesting things, she could join that, right? If he's on his path, he's on his purpose, right? So he's doing something that he loves to do, that he's passionate about. Girls are very attracted to that because it's like, whoa, this guy's doing something, right? Doing something with his life. That is value right there. If you come in and you're like, yeah, I mean, like, you're not going to say this, but if you're sub-communicating to a girl that you have nothing going for you, you don't have any friends, you don't have a life, you don't do anything fun, you're not interesting, you have no sense of humor, that is having no value. I think that's probably the best way to explain it.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. And that brings up another point is like, so if a lot of guys wonder, like, what do I talk about with girls? Now, a lot of guys, they'll be like thinking, oh, if I want to show them I'm valuable, I got to brag about my Ferrari. I got to brag about like all these cool things that I'm doing. But then you got to think, like, is the guy who all those cool stuff, if that's normal for him, is he going to be talking about it all the time? Or is it just going to be something that's normal? It's like nonchalant. So it's like, you wouldn't openly be bragging about a lot of that stuff. It's almost like assuming value. What are your thoughts on that, Tripp?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a Ferrari and you run a multi-million dollar business, and you have connections to famous people, you know what I would do? I wouldn't mention any of that. Because even if you say it subtly in conversation, girls aren't stupid. They're gonna know. I mean, if she asks you straight up, "What do you drive?" and you say that, then fine, that's the truth. I wouldn't lie, but it's going to be so much more powerful when she ends up finding out that you do have a Ferrari and then you do run a crazy multi-million dollar business. She's going to be like, whoa, this guy, this is this is an area of high status, is not trying to get people to like you by bragging or by being arrogant or by telling someone about your resources. It's like that's not what a high status person would do. It's what a low status person would do, because they're not confident enough in themselves. So they have to say all the things or lie about things to get the person to like them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of going on a tangent. I mean, going back to what you were saying about what do you say? So how do you convey high status or high value? It's not about what you're talking about. I know guys are always like, that doesn't help. I need to know what to say. I need to know what to talk about. I want the guys who are asking that question, which is probably every single person watching this, guaranteed, to go out and test this out. I want you to, here's an easy little trick. Go on the internet, find a news article, one that interests you, okay, and go out and talk about that. Or just pick literally anything you want to talk about. Okay, little footnote here. Common sense, okay, let's not go and talk about really creepy random things like, sex or perverted things. So just use your common sense and common judgment when I say talk about whatever you want, because it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. It's about telling her and subcommunicating to her that you have high status. So again, that's not going to come through what you're talking about. It's how you're carrying yourself as a person when you're in conversation. It's the way that you're going to be talking to her. You're going to be talking almost like I'm doing right now. You're talking slow, you're talking confident, right? You're talking to her like there's meaning behind what you're saying, instead of maybe talking like this, or just kind of like, kind of nervous, and maybe your shoulders are shrugged up and you can barely hear what I'm saying right now, right? There's a very big difference between that and this. So the way you're talking to her, the way you're giving her eye contact, the way that you're showing dominance in your tonality, you're talking like this to her. You're not being like, hey, what's going on? The upward tonality that you may have heard about, right? A lot of guys talk about that, because that is a kind of neediness. Yeah. When you're being like, oh, what's going on? Like there's a kind of a weakness in your voice. Yeah, seeking approval, exactly. So if you're going in, talking about what you want to talk about, which is literally anything, and you're, what you just said, not seeking approval, coming in with dominant body language, really good eye contact, really solid tonality, and also kind of throwing in there, and this is where we can get, a little bit more flirty and sexual. I like to throw little teases her way, you know what I mean? So whatever she says, don't always agree with what she says. Don't always be like, oh, me too. Oh my God, I love that too, right? Come in, disagree a little bit. Even if you don't, do it as a joke, you know what I mean? Even if, you're thinking like, oh, I got to disagree with her, like then I'm lying. It's like, well, then joke about it. You know what I mean? Like if she says she likes something, say, oh my God, you like that? That sucks. Yeah. And she's like, what are you talking about? How could you? I'm just kidding. I like it. But anyways, right? So then you keep talking about something else. So if you can come in with everything I just said, throw a couple of teases her way. I mean, I don't want to give too much because I'm going to overwhelm, but like that's 75% right there. Right. And it sounds like, Tripp, that's too easy. It kind of is.
It kind of is. It's really, literally that easy.
Not much. It's difficult because you've never done it before, and it's going to be difficult, and that's fine, but just go out there and try that, right? We talked about just 3 seconds, boom, going in. Just introduce yourself. Here's your opener. You'll never have to think about an opener again. Here it is. Hi, I'm Tripp, but use your own name, right? Hey, I'm Tripp. What's up? Yeah. What are you up to? What's your name? Just go in, ask some questions, talk about what you want to talk about, and that's it.
Yeah, dude, that's
you
awesome.
You want to communicate to her that you're a man and that you're attractive and that you have value. What is value? Everything I just said, right there, delivered.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That was a great rant right there. And that actually is in line with like something that happened to me recently. I was out coaching a guy, and he was like, "Well, she said this. What should I have said back to that?" I was like, "Literally, it doesn't fucking matter what you say, because like what you said, the subcommunication." I forget what study was. It was like 93% of all communication is nonverbal, and like half of that, 93%, is just the tonality, like you were talking about. So that means only 7% is the actual words you say. And so I literally told this guy, I was like, "Yo, you could literally go up and just say fruits like pineapple, banana, orange, And I was like, just try it. I'm going to do it just for fun. So we went up and we like approached two girls, and we literally said nothing but fruits the whole time. And it was like an inside joke. It was a self-entertaining thing. And the girls were all over it. They're like, what's going on? Where are you from? Like, tell me where you're from. I was like, pineapple. She goes, what? And she's like, what's your name? I was like, I'm just kidding. I'm Patrick. And now like, she's thinking like SpongeBob. I'm like, no, that's actually my name. And it's like, that was a self-entertaining thing. Literally didn't care what I said. I was saying fruits for 3 minutes. And just the communication was there. That just goes to show like everything what you just talked about.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just having fun, enjoying it. She's going to notice that. She's going to hop on board there. And it shows a lot of confidence, because guys who are not confident are not going to be enjoying their time. They're going to be like thinking that they're going to be more needy, trying to get something from her. What you're describing here in this like self-entertaining, self-amusing, fun kind of vibe, you're not doing that for her to get something from her. You're doing it for you. And you don't care if she joins in, because if you're going out there and saying fruits, it's pretty obvious that that's not some way to get something from someone, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're looking for some freaking fruit. But otherwise, it's all about that vibe of just enjoying the moment, enjoying yourself, and going in and doing it. And you got to remember too, this is a really important note, is that women are not wired the same way as men. Men are more logical, women are more emotional. So they'll react to emotions, are more attracted to the emotions, right? Spiking the emotions. Here's a great example of how, this all works. Think about it, right? Think about a guy going up to 100 girls, and they've done these on YouTube. You can see the social experiments. Guy goes up to 100 girls and says, would you like to have sex with me? Pretty much every single girl, like 0 out of 100, said yes. They were all like, no. One girl goes up and asks 100 guys, something like 80% said yes. And the 20% were like in a relationship, or just really like too nervous, or just kind of knew something weird was up, because that doesn't happen. But like 80% or something huge like that said yes, right? Because men, they're a little bit more visual. They're like, oh, she's pretty. Okay, I'm in. You know what I mean? And women, they need to look for the high status guy. They don't see high status. Well, they do a little bit in maybe what you wear, but it's not the whole package. Like, you could wear like nice clothes and have the watch and whatever, and that's part of it. But they need more, God, for lack of a better word here, forgive me, but convincing. I don't like to use that word, but that's all I can think of right now. But they need to be more convinced, or at least observe more high status behavior from you than going up and saying something like, will you have sex with me, right? They need to see more. So you got to remember that you got to be able to spike those emotions. And you'll do that by doing what we said earlier in terms of sub-communicating your high status behavior.
Correct. Yeah, and that's actually interesting. Like, I like to give the example of like, a girl going out to a nightclub. She's gonna have those defenses up. You're gonna have to actually like convey that you are quote unquote high status a little bit more than during the day, because during the day you could just be bold and quote unquote high status if you are the one who walks up and confidently approaches her. Whereas at night, that's not necessarily going to, hook her in right away. So what are your thoughts on like the differences between like, going out during the day, approaching a girl while you're going about your path. Whereas at night, everybody's going out there having a good time. Girls are expecting to get hit on. What are some of the things that you teach, like versus like daytime versus nighttime?
Well, I break it down a little bit differently. I just say social versus casual.
Okay.
Just to really be super clear, because I could say daytime, but you could be at a party during the day and it'd be the same thing as a nightclub.
Exactly.
Or you could be walking around the sidewalk by the grocery store and it's 10 o'clock at night. Well, it's not like this is night game. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be going up to her and being like, hey, what's going on? I'm Tripp.
Yeah.
So just that's kind of the difference. I call it social and casual. So with the casual approaches, right, the ones that we typically, I know like we do typically call day game or daytime stuff, like approaching a girl obviously during the day on the sidewalk or coffee shop or wherever. With that, it's pretty similar. You're just coming in with a little bit lower energy, right? At a nightclub, you got to stand out a little bit more. There's a lot of energy. You can't go up and be like, hey, what's going on? I'm Tripp. Nice to meet you, right? Like, you got to be really like, hey, what's going on? I'm Tripp. Hi, what's up? What's your name? Right? That would like totally like blow a girl out of the water during the day. Now, by the way, even that still might work. So, it's so funny because it's kind of tough to say, like, kind of anything really works. It's all about your mindset and you having a good time. So there's not much of a difference between the social and the casual. Really, the only thing I'm going to say is, like, you just drop your energy a little bit lower, just a little bit, like you're going to be more cool, a little more collected. You see a girl walk by you, which is, and you can use, anything. You can say, hey, hi, what's up? I'm Tripp. Nice to meet you. I wanted to meet you. You look cool. You can comment on the dog that she's walking. You can comment on literally anything, observational, right? So anything that kind of comes to your mind first. And if there's nothing observational and you're not somewhere interesting, like, let's say you're at a farmer's market, just comment on what's going on at the farmer's market. Just go up to her and just be like, this is the coolest farmer's market I've ever seen. Have you been here before? I've never been here before. Right? Don't worry about the opener. You're just gonna keep talking and talking and talking. And that's the other thing too, is with the opener during casual or social approach, they never remember what you started conversation with. It's just about getting in and getting her talking, right? And you talking and you keeping the conversation going and talking about whatever you want. I guarantee you, and you can test this out, next time you're with a girl and you're in bed with her, or you're on a date with her, ask her as a test, say, what was the first thing I said to you when I first came up approached you? Guarantee you, she probably won't remember what it is. And if she does, it's going to be a faint recollection. Okay. Point being, doesn't matter what you say, they don't remember. It's just about getting in, starting, and talking about anything. You could screw it up really bad too. You could go up there and say, I wanted to talk to you and I really don't know what to say right now. If that's coming up, then say it. She'll probably smile and laugh, right? If you're just being congruent with who you are and your thoughts and your actions and your words all align and you're just being you, girls will respect that. And that's very confident. So I would say that's probably some of the tips in terms of doing it during a casual type of approach. Everything else, it's the same.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. And, the truth is, when you do like go up to a girl and start talking to her, whether it's like a cold interaction or not, she's never, like you said, she's never paying attention to what you're saying. She's taking in the whole package. She's like, is this guy super nervous or not? Is this guy used to talking to girls or not? Like, and she's gonna follow that lead. So one way or the other, you're gonna lead this interaction. It just depends. Are you going to lead it from a place of like confidence, or are you going to lead it from a place of like nervousness? Right.
Exactly. I like to say, are you coming in as a man because she wants to meet a man, or are you coming in as a boy? Right. Again, just saying that in the same way we say subcommunicating that you are a high status male, right? Are you coming in as a man? Is she talking to a man? Are you giving her eye contact? Talking slow? Are you comfortable? Is she hearing what you're saying? Are you speaking with dominant tone? Or are you coming in completely flustered, really nervous, not even looking at her, freaking out? And again, it's okay. That's going to happen. If you're watching this and you're a newbie, that's going to happen. And who cares, right? The beautiful part about it is there's 7 billion people on this planet. You're never going to be able to approach every girl, even if you wanted to. You won't even be able to do it in your own city. Okay, let alone the whole world, right? So point is you got a lot of people to practice on. You have tons and tons of people to practice on. So yeah, you're gonna fluster, you're gonna fuck up, you're gonna come in as the boy a million times when you first start off. But that's only because you're not used to it. So you just got to get out of your comfort zone and just start the process, because you're gonna learn so much more going out and doing it than just sitting here and watching YouTube video to YouTube video and not doing anything.
Yeah, totally agree. So let's kind of get into a little bit more like practicality stuff, because a lot of what we've been talking about, I feel like a lot of the viewers are probably like, okay, that sounds good, but what do I do? You know? So what are some ways that you tell guys, because you like to talk about like flirting tactics or like good questions to ask in conversation. What are some of the ways that you tell guys to like set the flirty tone? I know we already talked about one where you're like, don't always be too agreeable, but do you have any others that you'd like to teach?
Yeah, I mean, listen, one of my ways is being really direct. So when you're in the middle of conversation, just interrupt her and say, you know what, you are so adorable when you smile like that. Say it just like that. You are so adorable when you smile like that. And say, anyway, sorry, what were you saying? Right? Little things that just kind of make her blush. Again, you don't want to do too much of those because then it's going to be a little bit too much. You don't want to make her feel a little uncomfortable and overbearing. But I like to throw in those little spikes that just, I was like, what? But it's all about timing, right? So flirting, to do that right, you got to look out for the timing. So you want to kind of like increase the flirting. I see it as like an exponential graph, right? It's kind of like you throw them in there a little bit, and then more and more and more and more until you guys are making out, right? So in the beginning of the conversation, you might be teasing her a little bit, calling her a nerd, disagreeing with her, right? And then all of a sudden she says something you like, go in for a hug. So now you're doing some more physical flirting, right? She likes, I don't know, what's your favorite band?
I like Drake. He's not
Drake?
yeah,
No way. Oh my God, Drake is awesome. Get over here. Put your hand up,
boom.
high five, pull her in for a hug. Keep conversation going, right? It's little spikes. And then once she's at the point where you know she's interested in you, and this is maybe getting a little bit more ahead of ourselves, but you can just tell because she's not looking around, she's asking you questions, she's giving you good eye contact, she doesn't seem to be anywhere else, and you've created this bubble, okay? Or maybe you've heard of like the hook point, right? Same idea, where she's kind of like, all right, you're zoned in, it's you two, you're in a real conversation, right? Then you can start increasing the sexuality, right? So how are you going to do that? How do you increase sexuality? Well, more physical touching, right? So let's imagine you are at a bar, okay? So one good practical little technique is in the middle of conversation. Again, I'm talking about when you're at the hook point. So this is not the beginning. This is kind of over here, right? Say, you know what? Give me your hand. She'll be like, okay. Grab her hand and walk across to another section of the club. Maybe you're going to the bar. Maybe you're going outside. You don't even really need a real reason, but that's going to spike some more emotion, and that's going to be going more sexual with her because now you're holding hands. What does holding hands remind her of? A boyfriend, right? Who does she hold hands with? She'll hold hands with a boyfriend. So that's going to start making her feel a little bit more sexually attracted to you and more sexually comfortable with you. All right. And then once you get to the point where maybe you're taking her, you're going to different little parts of the club or the bar, wherever, it's just you two. At that point, once you know she's hooked and you've done a couple of those touching moves, maybe you've pulled her in for a hug, teasing her a little bit, and you know that she's interested, you can just go for the kiss. You could literally say, hold on 1 second, stop talking. Boom, go for the kiss. That's pretty much it. You don't really need, I do talk about a lot of techniques on my channel. You can go check those out. There's all different kinds of touching techniques, but don't worry about that too much, because I think if you go in and you're too focused on like the way to touch her, you're going to be not as present as I want you to be. So just use a couple of those. Go for the high five, pull her in for a hug, grab her hand, go somewhere, just make sure you throw a little bit of those in as you guys are wherever you are, right? And at that point, go for the kiss, and then it's up to you at that point. You can try to pull her, take her home. You can try to get her on a date, grab her number. Maybe you want to talk to other girls, grab their numbers, things like that. I'd say that's probably some of the easier techniques that guys can use right away.
Yeah. And dude, that actually brings up a good point, is because that whole time you're setting the tone that you are leading this interaction. A woman, I always like to say this, like a girl is never going to lead an interaction back to her bed, unless she like has a super crush on you already. But if you just met her, you have to set the tone that you are leading this interaction. And the way you did that was like, here, hold on, it's too loud in here. Like, come with me. Grab her hand and take her with you. And you're the one escalating physically, right? A girl wants to be like, think about like a girl. She wants a man who's going to lead her, you know, and who's going to like be the dominant male in her life. You know, that's what women want. So like you said, with the high five, you're the one initiating the high five. You're leading the interaction. And I actually like that. That's a lot of times like how I even break the physical barriers. Like when she says something I like, I go, oh, that's awesome. High five. And I even make that a little sexual. And I just like keep holding her hand as we like bring our hands down. And I do that. And then the confident man is going to be able to take it away like it's no big deal. So like if we're holding hands, I'm the one to release it first, you know?
Right. Yeah, and just it's really cool because like just you doing that, it's in and itself that you're doing it, like going for her hand or going for a hug or going for the kiss, beyond the fact of what it is, right? So there's that level of like what it is, and it feels good because we like to be touched. But then there's the other level on top of that. It's like you're performing it. You're not waiting for her to do it. You're leading the interaction. That in itself is another level of attractiveness, right? So, I mean, I always say to guys, like, just going up and approaching with confidence, boom, you've automatically hit a level of attraction because you're being a man that she wants to meet, right? It's like, I mean, it's like evolution, right? It's survival of the fittest. The guys who have the weak DNA, who are not, you know, meant to replicate, are not going to be going up to girls and doing that. So you've already kind of said to her just from the approach, hey, I'm an attractive high status male. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings up my next point is like, you know, closing out the interaction. Like, how do you lead it back to a place of, you know, where you want to go? Like, do you want to get her number? Do you want to kiss her? Do you want to take her home with you? And a lot of guys actually got this question the other day, was like, dude, what if I go for the kiss and she like rejects me, or like she turns her cheek? And I was like, dude, I almost prefer that, because I know like if I'm going in for a kiss and a girl turns her cheek, she's not saying no unless she's running away. She's just saying not right now. For whatever reason in her head, she's like not letting herself do it, or she's not comfortable enough with you yet. And if you can be the guy who's okay with like, oh, I got her cheek, and then continue on the interaction like nothing happened, your state is unaffected, that in itself is a high status quality. So I was like, I gave him the example is like a lot of times those girls who I have, like, they give me the cheek, they might give me the cheek like 6 times and I keep going for it. And then eventually when they do kiss me, they kiss the fuck out of me. Right. And it's almost like, and this is lack of a better term, it's almost like breaking down her defenses. And I hate that term. But yeah, it's like, are you leading this? Are you confident enough to lead it? What happens when she says no? Do you take it as like, oh shit, she doesn't want me? Or are you going to be the alpha male who says, okay, she's just not comfortable yet because obviously she would want to kiss me?
Right. It's like the same thing I was saying before. Like, it weeds the weak people out. The guy who gets rejected is going to be like, oh, I got rejected. I suck. This girl doesn't like me. They're going to act all awkward and uncomfortable. They might even eject and be like, oh, okay, well, that's it for me. She only wanted to give me the cheek, and he's out, right? And that guy can't replicate. He's out, right? So the guy who's like, no, F this, like, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to persist. That's the guy who's going to be able to, right, get it, right? So that's the girl wants. She wants that persistence. Now, I also say that, you know, lightly because, you know, no means no. So if she's, you know, if she's being like, no, get off me, that's probably a reason to actually not persist, you know? So if she's doing the playful, like, no, stop, or, you know, like, oh, whatever, like, then she's not uncomfortable. If you notice any signs of actual, she's uncomfortable, do not persist. I just have to say that for safe reasons. But I'm sure, you know, when you're in the interaction, you go to kiss and she gives you the cheek and she keeps giving you the cheek. Well, that's still her saying yes, right? It's like, but she's just not ready for it yet. So she wants to get more comfortable with you. So you talk more. And then, yeah, finally you go for it. And she's like, oh, you know, fine. This guy, he's here. He stayed here. He's showing that high status alpha male, you know, figure.
Right.
boom, she's going to go for it. So yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of it is sticking around. A lot of guys eject too early. Even before that, guys eject too early. Even, they'll do that in almost a parallel way with conversation. Like if the girl's like showing not interest, the guy look up, I'm out. Okay, she's not interested, I'm out. It's like, no, sometimes she just needs to get to know you a little bit more and feel your high status. And that's going to be you staying in there and continuing to talk to her. The only rejection is her saying to you, leave me alone, get the fuck out of here right now, okay? Or her walking away. Like that's the rejection.
Yeah. And
otherwise, stay in there.
yeah, and that's a perfect point. And on the other thing that you said is like if you can tell like she legitimately just doesn't want to kiss you, that comes down to being socially intelligent. Can you read social cues? And if you can't, I mean, it just takes more experience. You got to put yourself out there a little bit more and kind of like reflect like what happened during that situation? Why did that result happen? Was I being too overbearing? That takes a lot of just, actual experience. But that's a whole other topic on its own. But Tripp, I think this is a very valuable, like 30, 35-minute interview. Where can these guys find a little bit more of your stuff? Because I know you're really big on YouTube.
For sure. Just go to youtube.com/Tripp Advice. Type in Tripp Advice. Tripp is with 2 P's. My channel will come up. I got over 200 videos talking about stuff just like this with specific techniques and cool tips and tricks to attracting girls, that you either know, that you don't know, that you want to meet. Everything in between, teaching you how to get the girls. So check out YouTube channel, Tripp Advice, and you'll find more of my stuff.
Awesome. And I'll put a link in the description. He also has a really cool blog with a lot of different articles and stuff, just like what we've been talking about today. So I'll put a link to that as well. And I hope you guys had a good time watching this. And I know there's a lot of value. So you might want to watch it like 3, 4, 5, 15 times and then share it with your friends. All right. See you guys later. Awesome.